Hey artists, I hope you've had a great week. Let's draw a dog in real time. Start with this square. I want you to draw this square fairly lightly. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. We're going to be erasing it anyway. It's just kind of like a guide. I'm going to split that square in half and then draw this arch. Think about like a rainbow. So there's that arch. It goes up halfway. Now let's draw another little one. This is going to be the mouth eventually. Now that we have both of those arches, I'm going to go about halfway up and draw not quite a circle, more like an oval. That will be the dog's nose. And now two circles, one on each side obviously. These are going to be the eyes. And notice how the circles extend a little bit beyond that square. Now you can draw another circle around each of those. We're going to fill in the details of these eyes later on. Okay, and now returning to the mouth and the jowls. And we just 3 little bumps down there. Nothing has to be exactly right. You can just kind of play around with this. Up the side of the head on both sides. And you'll see how this comes together shortly. We'll worry about the ears in just a few moments. And there's going to be another arch or rainbow shape here. This is a big fold in the skin by the nose. And then a big looping curve. That's this kind of fold around the eyes. And 2 more at the forehead. Okay, now it's time to put in the top of the head, and again just a big curve. You can go all the way above the square, and some little wrinkles in the forehead. I think about 5 or 6 should be fine. Just kind of making that up. For the ears, you're going to think about a triangle that's sort of curved off on the edges. And whatever you do on the one side, you can do on the other side because we're looking at this dog from a front view. Now that you have the basic outline done, you can grab an eraser and just erase that square. We don't need that anymore, and it'll only get in the way once we start shading. You can use any kind of eraser. I'm using more of a precision eraser here. It's not exactly a Tombow 0, but it is a little more precise than those standard bulky erasers. Okay, now drawing just one more line that connects the nose to the mouth. And you can see I'm doing this reverse C shape on the one side and then a C shape on the other side. These will be the nostrils, and of course they'll be colored in later. Now I've changed my the way I'm holding my pencil, and I'm going to the side of my pencil to do some shading. Let's start shading all along the side of the nose and just a little bit down on that muzzle. And of course on both sides, since we're dealing with an even lighting situation here. It's going to be what we do on one side, we'll do on both. And then I'm just going to very, very lightly shade in the entire mouth and muzzle area. I'm going a little quick here just for the purpose of this video, but you can take your time and shade that in a little more evenly than I'm doing here. And I'm just using these very light little circles, and I'm using the side of my pencil. That's the important thing. Don't use the tip of your pencil, use the side. Now I've decided that the mouth that I originally made was a little too high, so I'm just going to put in a darker line here and lower that up. Lower that mouth. There's a lip, and just outlining that a little bit more, making it darker. Now switching my my position on my pencil, I'm using the tip of the pencil again and putting 4 or 5 whiskers on each side. Okay, and I'm going to just make these little marks and indications. You don't need to draw every single hair when you're drawing fur. You just need to have a few indications of hair. The viewer's brain will fill in the rest. and then starting to shade some of these folds. Eventually, we're going to shade the whole head, but just part by part, and really think about how dark or how light something should be. Putting another little crease under the eye here, and then shading the other side. And now some indications of hair on the cheeks. Of course, if you want the pencil mark to be darker, you're going to press harder, and lighter, you're going to press more softly. And so that's how you create what's called variable pressure. And that's all that means, is you put varying amounts of pressure on your pencil in order to create lighter or darker tones. So moving up now to this, to these folds around the eyebrows and into the forehead. You notice that it's slightly darker just under the ears and then lighter on the forehead. I'm going to thicken up those lines where you see the folds in the forehead. You notice how loose this is. I'm not trying to be super precise with anything. You can be looser or tighter with your drawing. That does come down to personal style and personal choice, and that's all part of learning to draw. That's all part of the game. So as I'm just kind of coloring in the rest of the fur, making some indications, I'm looking for creases and then darkening those up, and just making some little more indications of fur. Dotting the forehead now, just to show that it's not a completely smooth surface. The absence of indications will show a smooth surface, and I don't want that. And I'm going to just fill in the ears here and sort of indicate a slight fold in the ear by making it a little bit darker right there, just above the tip. And then same thing on the other side, very, very lightly, and using the side of my pencil. That's kind of the main thing I'd like you guys to get out of this exercise, is when to use the tip of your pencil and when to use the side of your pencil. And the difference is, of course, the tip is for outlining shapes and the side is for shading those shapes. It's a really important exercise to be able to flip back and forth between outlining and shading, between using the side of your pencil and using the tip of your pencil. So back to the tip of the pencil now. I'm going to start, I'm going to make another circle here. This will be for the dog's iris, which is the colored part of the eye, and then another circle inside that for the pupil, or the black part that the light goes into. So I'm going to press down as hard as I can. You'll notice it's still only a mid-gray, and that's because I'm using an H pencil for the entire dog. I really should be using something like at least a 2B or a 3B pencil, even softer than that, and that's when I can get the darker grays. But this H pencil is quite hard. For those of you from the States, that's a little bit harder than a number 2 pencil. So you can see that I've made the light of the eye slightly lighter than the pupil, and I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. So one circle for the iris, another circle for the pupil, and then having a little space there for some shine. Coloring that in quite darkly now. I'm just pressing down harder to make the pupil darker and outlining with the tip of my pencil. And there we go. Pretty much done with that, and just some kind of finishing touches. This whole thing took about just a little over 9 minutes, but you can take much longer than that if you would like to make it more realistic. But anyway, there's how you draw a dog. I hope yours turns out just how you like it.